You can be closely monitoring your calories to be in a deficit and still not have access to the fat in your fat cells. As crazy as this sounds, about 80% of our population has some degree of insulin resistance. 80%, and most of them don't even know it because it can take years to see elevated blood glucose levels after we have begun producing more and more and more insulin. So today in this short video, I'm going to show you how this happens, but more importantly, the symptoms that we see every single day, and often they get pushed off just as aging, and of course, how we're going to begin to reverse it so that fat loss doesn't have to be so stinking difficult. But first, please hit that like and subscribe button. It truly helps us help more people. So how does this happen? Well, long story short, and to avoid any kind of overcomplication, like over time, so the longer we're on the planet, the older we get, we are filling up our body's energy storage units. The long-term units mainly being your fat cells, and the short-term units, the main ones being your liver and your muscle cells. Now, insulin acts on these cells to bring in glucose or blood sugar to be used as energy or stored and used as energy later. However, we are putting an enormous strain on this system unknowingly and unintentionally by our diets and our lifestyles. So on a basic level, when a cell gets full, it shuts and locks its door. It is like the fire marshal came in and said, you are at capacity and you are done. And as more and more cells begin to shut and lock their doors because of capacity issues, it takes longer and longer for your body to remove the glucose from your blood after a meal. So you have to continue to pump out more and more insulin as your body tries to figure out where in the heck it's going to put all this glucose. Here's the problem with that. When we have insulin present, which is our fat storing hormone, our fat storing, fat burning dial is cranked way more towards fat storing. And I say dial because it's not on and off. You're always burning fat and you're always storing fat. The only question is to what degree. So now we have insulin present for an extended period of time, telling our bodies to suppress using any stored fat, especially in the long-term storage. That's for an emergency. Those are our fat cells. And we are taking way longer to clear the glucose out of our blood in order to get our insulin levels down low enough to turn that dial back to fat burning. Where we used to be able to move through the energy in a meal in about 2.5 to 3 hours. Because of insulin resistance, it's now taking 3.5 hours or longer. Meanwhile, we've probably had a snack or two and we're beginning to prepare for the next meal. So we have had zero time without an insulin response, and we've had zero time without access or the need to use our stored fat. And this can be happening even if you are counting your calories, because this is insulin resistance. And we're continuing to tell our body to make more and more insulin, making it very difficult to move past that insulin response and have access to the stored fat. Obviously, we need to begin to reverse any amount of insulin resistance. If not being able to lose weight is going to be the least of our worries. Outside of diabetes, there's heart disease, fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, PCOS, and all kinds of hormonal imbalances that we love to blame on aging that come with another whole list of issues. But how do we know if we have it or are beginning to have it? So lethargy, hunger, brain fog, weight gain, or the inability to lose weight, these are all the symptoms that you can look up and find online, but they're also a part of pretty much everyday life. So I think we need to dial these in a little bit more. So hunger after a meal is a big sign, especially if it happens after lunch. And if you're having sugar cravings after a meal, same thing. And especially sugar cravings after you've eaten some kind of sweet snack. Plus, this also puts us in a terrible snacking loop to where we just continue to pump out the insulin. Plus, there's depression and anxiety, of course, the PCOS in women, and the effect that insulin resistance has on your hormones is huge. Women, if you are starting to get hair on your chin or other places that you don't want, probably looking at a little bit of insulin resistance. It causes infertility in women, which is something I'm way past the age of having to worry about, but also infertility in men and the inability to perform. And if you are looking down at those man boobs, you also probably have some amount of insulin resistance. So what are we going to do about it? Well, here's the good news. It is reversible and it is simple. Is it easy? Well, that is for you to decide, because first we're going to have to add the exercise. It is so important. And as a coach, this is one of the hardest things for me to get people to do consistently. So just start where you are. Start today and have your end goal be to have a workout every single day, and 2 to 3 days a week, have that workout be resistance training. The power of going for a walk every single day is incredible, and we need to start using the stored energy we have in our muscles. Our muscles are some of the first cells to become resistant, and the contracting and the releasing of these muscles during activity actually triggers us to use the energy in them. Second, intermittent fasting can make a big improvement, but start slow, especially if you are experiencing hunger after meals or hypoglycemia. Begin with like a 12-hour fast overnight. Just try to stretch that breakfast just a little bit, and then try to stretch the time from meal to meal without a snack in between. So if you normally eat every 2 to 3 hours because of snacks, just try to make it at 3 or maybe 3.5. Just stretch that time out, because with your end goal, I would love that to be a 14 to 16 hour overnight fast with 3 meals a day and no snacks in between. But please be patient. You did not get here overnight. Lastly, we have to address the diet. And normally, if you've had a coaching call with me, you've probably heard me say, we don't jump off a bridge, and I will stand by that. However, there are 3 things I would like you to take a leap with today. And the first one is sugar. Get rid of it. All sugar, you don't need it. Get rid of all of it. The second is processed foods. Even if they claim to be healthy, if they come in a package, leave them at the store. And the last one is that carb and fat combination. It takes some doing to really be able to look at your food and determine where's the carbs and where are the fats. But take a look at every meal. Wherever the carbs are, if you want to eat the carbs, just remove the fat. If you want to eat the fat, just remove the carbs. And a really good example of carbs and fat together is a hamburger and French fries. They are both a combination of carbs and fat. The hamburger because of the hamburger and the bun, and their French fries because of the potato and the grease that they are cooked in. And for sure, at every single meal, you're gonna wanna have a good quality protein. However, this is not the time to go into that high protein diet. Just keep your protein super normal, like 30 to 40%. So you see, it is super simple. The difficulty comes in practicing this every single day. But trust me, your life will improve on a cellular level every day that you do. And I wish I could tell you it was just gonna take a couple of weeks and then it would all be over, boom, but I can't, because everybody's gonna be different according to their own situation. So please, please monitor the symptoms that you're having now, because you're gonna be changing on the inside much more rapidly than you're ever gonna be able to see on the outside if you're not paying attention to the little details. I am Coach Terrell, and I know this can be a lot, so I have popped a link below for you to be able to schedule a coaching call, a free one. And also, I am super happy to answer any questions, so go ahead and pop those in the comments. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.